Using the 2012 American Community Survey household income data from the Minnesota Population Center's IPUMS data set, that's the longest name I've ever read in my life, Business Insider was able to calculate what it takes to be in the top 1% of income earners in each state in America. So let's take a look at the map. You might find this interesting, and you might find this surprising. So get this, man. Number one is, I believe, Connecticut? Yeah, I think it's Connecticut. $642,000 it takes to be in the top 1% in Connecticut. I think New York is number two, and New Jersey's close also, but New York, it takes $511,000 a year to be in the top 1%. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I think Montana is the lowest. It takes $280,000 a year to be in the top 1%. And then everybody else falls somewhere in between. California is relatively high. It takes about $430,000 to be in the top 1%. Texas, it takes $391,000 to be in the top 1%. And then there's everything in between. Some states have a higher number. Some states have a lower number. It's between $280,000 and about $642,000 a year to be in the top 1% in all these different states. And the interesting thing to me about this is that I thought it was higher, and I think most people thought that the top 1% number would be higher than that you'd have to make over $1 million a year to be in the top 1%, when, again, that's not true. It's just, a little over $600,000 a year is the top 1% in the richest state. So what does this show us? Well, it shows us that, and a lot of other people have made this point before me, but it bears repeating, which is that it's not even really the 99% versus the 1%. It's more like the 99.9% versus the 0.1%, or maybe the 0.01% or 0.001%. Because I have no problem. I can only speak on behalf of myself. You guys can tell me whether or not you agree or disagree with this. But I have no problem with somebody making $300,000 a year, $400,000 a year. By all means. In fact, I don't even necessarily think taxes should be all that high on somebody making that amount of money. We only have a problem when you can't form a logical argument for you to make the amount of money that you make. So if we're talking about somebody making $500 million a year and paying next to nothing in taxes, and meanwhile they fucking make widgets, yeah, that's a problem. If we're talking about a professional athlete that makes, $15 million a year, they pay next to nothing in taxes, yeah, okay, there's a problem there, and we need to make the tax code more fair. I think the main issue is people are angry that the tax code is rigged against your average person or even your upper middle class person, and it's rigged in favor of the very rich. So take Mitt Romney, for example. He makes over $20 million a year in investments. You know what he pays in taxes? 14%. Okay, meanwhile, a guy who's a construction worker that makes $90,000 a year, he pays more than that. He could pay 20%, 25%, 30%. So why is it that a guy making $90,000 should pay more than Mitt frickin' Romney, who sits on his ass all day long and makes millions and millions of dollars? He shouldn't. That's the point. And the tax code has been rigged over time because of the corrupting influence of money in politics. So you have billionaires and multinational corporations and people on Wall Street giving money to the politicians, and then the politicians rig the system in favor of the already rich, and then everybody else gets fucked over in the process. So what this tells me is a tax system that's more fair, it would honestly be a very progressive bracket. So what do I mean? Like, if you make $20,000 a year, honestly, you should probably pay no taxes. You should pay very little in taxes, 1% at most, because you already can't feed your family, you already can't pay the rent. Why would the government take money from you? The government should be helping you because you need the fucking help. You're doing your part for society, but they're not doing their part for you. And once you go up like $50,000 a year, okay, yeah, you still probably shouldn't pay that much in taxes. $80,000 a year, yeah, that's a decent living, but I still don't want you paying that much in taxes. $150,000 a year. Okay, now you can pay a little something, but not crazy. $250,000 a year. Okay, now you can pay a decent amount, and you're going to be okay. But then once you get into like the $1 million range, $5 million range, there should be different brackets for $1 million, $5 million, $20 million. Like, all these numbers should have different brackets because, you can afford to pay much, much more and still be insanely rich. Like fucking Sean Hannity, who's probably got a net worth of over $40 million, was bitching one time to Michael Moore, like, government takes half my money, bro. Government takes half my money, bro. So, woe is you. You were going to make $5 million in 1 year for running your loud mouth, and now you're going to make $2.5 million. Oh, my heart bleeds for you, Sean Hannity. Like, the percentage of how much the government takes is misleading in many circumstances. If you're saying take 50% and the person makes $50,000 a year, yeah, that's stupid and that's wrong and that's dumb. But if you're saying take 50% and the person makes $1 billion a year, that's totally fine and that's totally normal. And if that person complains, they're a fucking idiot. Okay, so what this story tells me is that the bracket needs to be super progressive. Okay, give me low taxes on the poor, give me low taxes on the middle class, even give me low to moderate taxes on upper middle class people. The only time I want the income level to start, the tax level, the tax bracket to sharply increase is once we get to that $250,000 number and up. And we should have extra brackets for $1 million, $5 million, $20 million, because those people can really afford to pay it. And let's be honest, those people usually at this point in their lives, talk to Bill Gates, talk to Warren Buffett, they're really not doing shit anyway. Okay, they started this massively successful venture. All credit to them. They should be rich as a result of it. But should they be rich enough to have $20 billion in the bank? Meanwhile, kids don't have any fucking health care and can't afford to eat? No, that's stupid.